The anime is entitled 86. It talks about humans used as tools by the Emperor. The scene starts with the 86 soldiers who are fighting on the battlefield. They are sent as the attack squad of the battalion. They are assigned to charge and finish their enemies. Although there are many enemies ahead, the leader of the Legion believes he will make all the units to be his slave. Elsewhere, a girl is seen getting dressed, ready to work. On the way, she sees news about the Jadian Empire's Drone Infantry Legion mechanized army invading Combat District 17 is suffering heavy damage and the Juggernauts are being forced to retreat. The damage caused to the government is not too serious. There are no injuries or casualties. The girl works as an elite soldier in the Republic of San Magnolia and became a major at the age of 16. Her name is Vladilena Malais, who is called Major Malais. The men working in her workplace clap and laugh at the struggle of the 86th Army. They offend Major Malais as the Princess of Doll Lovers because she really responds to the 86th Army. As Major Malais is about to confront the men, N8 approaches her and tells her not to fall for their words. N8 is a professor in the government of San Magnolia. While sighing, N8 asks her why Lena is obsessed with the drones. Lena explains she doesn't see them as drones but as 86 armies. Major Malais enters her room and begins to monitor the armies fighting on the battlefield. She logs in and activates the Handler 1 monitor on the para-raid. The unit she leads is Pleiades. Just then, she is called to see General Karlstall. She is briefed that she will lead a different troop because one of the handlers retired from his position. Thus, a replacement is needed immediately. Lena thinks she is a new major and there is no way she can handle it since she is the youngest of all and doesn't have much experience. The general states if only Vaclav was still alive, he would be proud of her. The general is Lena's father's close friend. He then asks Lena about her mother. She explains her mother asks her to get married as soon as possible. The general explains he actually has not found people who want to fill the post. Lena comments that it is an honor for a soldier of the Republic to lead the squad. The general explains the commander of the squad is Undertaker, the highest Legion commander. They call him Reaper. He ruins every handler who wants to attack him. Lena wonders why a processor wants to ruin the handler. General explains almost all handlers of the unit came to him asking for retirement or change of post. Some of them even committed suicide. Lena is shocked to hear that. General explains they said they were haunted by the sound of ghosts. Furthermore, the general states that Lena can refuse the offer if she doesn't want to. A handler is in charge of monitoring the unit, keeping a minimum surveillance. Lena feels challenged after hearing the story and she accepts the role. Then the general asks her to stop including the number of deaths in her report because actually no humans are fighting. They are just machines for the government. Lena tries to defend them but is stopped by the general. Afterward, Lena does a full-body check at Professor N8's place. N8 wonders why Lena had to take the post. Lena comments she feels honored to be able to join the special unit and she doesn't seem to believe the story of Undertaker. N8 confirms the rumor saying one of the handler committed suicide. She explains the handler of Spearhead went crazy and fired his head with a shotgun. The government didn't know the reason because the handler was already died and they could not investigate the matter. N8 then offers Lena to work with her instead of working in the military. Lena declines the offer because she basically loves her work. Later, N8 offers her a slice of cake, but because Lena is in a hurry, she rejects it. N8 mentions that she used real eggs and milk, making it tempting for her. She accepts and enjoys the cake heartfully. Not long after that, she hears a call from the monitor. Lena goes and examines her monitor. She finds many units die because of the battle. She feels sad about their sacrifice. The scene switches to Unit 1 camp of Battalion 1. A young guy is seen in his room carrying a book. He walks out of the room and sits on the terrace of their camp. Members of Unit 1 are seen cleaning the room. They seem to enjoy their lives with each other like families. A girl named Kay hears their laughter from outside. She is watering the flowers in the yard. Later, a man calls everyone in the camp to have breakfast. They sit together and enjoy the breakfast. They look poor, but they are happy as they are together. A man feeds a cat, but the cat jumps at him and suddenly a flash of memory is seen when Undertaker was fighting with the unit. The battle went fierce and they managed to defeat all the enemies. Only one person remained and Undertaker killed him. Therefore, he is called the Reaper. The scene returns to Lena, who tries to communicate with Spearhead. It is responded by Undertaker. Undertaker welcomes Major Malais as the new handler for the unit. Pleased with the response, Lena replies and says hi to Undertaker. That evening, Shin is walking outside and is greeted by his friends. Shin is the real name of Undertaker. From afar, Aldrich is sulking while approaching Shin. Aldrich asks why Shin always ruins the machine in every mission. Shin's gaze is always cold as if there is no life. Aldrich is about to say that the weak engine legs should not be forced to use frequently because they don't have a spare engine if they are damaged. Aldrich is an engineer of the Spearhead squad. They also have received their weapons stockpiles. Shin tells Aldrich that Vito should have brought Kujo's machine. Aldrich feels uneasy about using a machine from a dead person. Shin doesn't buy it because he has killed a lot of his comrades on the battlefield because their heads would be taken over by Legion. They then talk about the new handler of the squad. Shin tells him the new handler contacted him. That perhaps their way to maintain good communication and she will call him every day. It is quite uncommon for a soldier of the Republic to do that. The weather looks good from the camp. Shin is sitting in the backyard while reading his book. The squad members are looking at the food supplies that have arrived. Theo informs them that the weather has changed and it will rain in their area. This will cause the radar to turn off. They gather for a meeting before the battle. Shiny Nuzin, as the captain of Spearhead, gives direction before they go for fighting. There is an attack approaching and the rest will follow from behind. Shin and the squad members will ambush at coordinate 304 on their route and make the main road the interception area where they will deal with most of the enemy forces. Lena begins monitoring from afar. Handler 1 begins to inform that the enemy seems to be approaching. She tells the member to go to coordinate 208 and stop them. Undertaker reports to Handler 1, saying they will attack the enemy force at coordinate 304 far ahead. Lena praises Undertaker, who is great at reading the enemy's movement. Legions come to invade. The entire unit fires at the enemy simultaneously. Shin directs everyone to attack at every point. However, Shin suddenly feels a bit surprised and he asks the others to stop firing and disperse. Handler 1 tells Spearhead it is Scorpion, the long-range attacker, and asks them to be careful. She will send them their approximate scouting location. Undertaker replies that transmitting information through pointing radar may lock their position. Moreover, he asks Handler 1 to only give oral instruction during the battle. Handler 1 apologizes to Undertaker. Then Undertaker asks Handler 1 to inform the Legion coordinate to him. The unit reports to Undertaker that there are a lot of enemies. Undertaker asks him to enjoy the hunt. It's assigned to get rid of some of them immediately. However, the enemies keep increasing. Undertaker advances to the front line and fights the enemy force. He manages to defeat the enemies with continuous shots. Undertaker looks to excel at using the machine as if he is the one moving. Handler 1 is impressed with the resistance put up by Undertaker. The combat is finally over and the enemy is defeated. Elsewhere, a lecturer is telling the history of San Magnolia to his students who work in the government. Lena is upset to hear the lies of the government. Lena reveals the existence of a unit which is controlled by a human. The lecturer gets mad at her because she interrupts his lecture. Major Malais explains the sacrifice of humans who are considered machines to them. She talks about the existence of the 86th Battalion to stop the enemy forces. They are humans who live in a machine special camp. They have been treated unfairly. 86 is a unit of young men and women like the students, but they do not enjoy entertainment and luxury like humans should. Later, it seems that Lena's action goes too far and she will be punished for that. N8 asks her about Undertaker. Lena explains she always contacts him. Lena compliments Undertaker as an excellent and courageous soldier, even though he is reckless. Lena believes Undertaker is not terrible as people say. Lena activates her para-raid and talks to Undertaker. Although they are separated, their hearts seem to be connected. That is what she feels. Raiden sits next to Shin while enjoying his food. Raiden asks about the Handler 1 who gave instruction to them. Shin replies the coordinates she gave was right and she doesn't look like a spoiled rich girl. They wonder how long the Handler 1 will last. Just then, Anju comes to deliver the cake. She sits next to Shin and asks him if the book is good. Shin replies it can divert his mind. Shin lives with terrifying sounds in his head. He can hear the voices of dead people. Not long after that, Handler 1 calls them. Everyone seems to praise Handler 1. Lena asks about the Spearhead Squad's condition and she wants to scold Undertaker. Although the report is not important to them because the government will not read their report, Lena asks Undertaker to write a report because she will read every report he sends. The next day at camp, Haruto tries to make a joke but it fails. He looks for Anju as he wants her to make dinner. Daya tells him the girls have left after breakfast and it is almost lunchtime. Haruto invites Daya and the others to check on the girls. They are probably bathing in the river. It is paradise for men. Daya refuses, saying he is loyal to his team and won't do that. Kay and Anju sit on a rock in the river. Other friends invite Kay to play in the water together. Karina is teased that she likes Shin. Kay and the others also seem to like their captain. Meanwhile, Haruto and the others go to peek at the girls in the river. However, due to Haruto and his friends, Daya is caught peeking at them, and the girls throw stones at them. Anju throws a knife hitting a tree. Daya is frightened that Anju will beat him. Kay throws stones at Haruto and his friend. On camp, Karina is jealous of Handler 1 because Shin always talks to Handler 1. She slams an object there. Lena asks what it is. Shin replies, "It's just a rat." Kirina walks out of the room and Daya follows her behind. Kirina is angry at Shin because he welcomed Handler 1 well and didn't ruin her. Daya tries to calm Kirina, who is burning with jealousy. Everyone in the squad hates the government, even the Handler 1 who treats them well, because their parents became victims of the government's cruel treatment to them and their families. Kay asks Handler 1 why she cares about them. Lena explains she was rescued by a professor when she was on a battlefield. He said they are a part of the Republic. They were born and raised there, and it was the duty of the country to protect their people. Lena feels that they should live according to the professor's words. The government asks them to fight but doesn't care about their situation and tries to understand the struggle they are carrying out, which is contrary to what the government has said all along. Spearhead Squad asks Lena to change her job and stop talking to them before she regrets it. The next day in the battle, the Spearhead members ignore Handler 1 as well as Undertaker. Lena doesn't give in. She insists that she wants to help them. Kay asks Lena about the new map. Handler 1 confirms that she will send it to them. They ask whether it is illegal to send the map to 86. Lena comments that information should be used accordingly. They complete their mission. Everyone does a good job. Lena feels sorry for the member who died. She thinks it is her fault because she took too long to find the map. Theo comments she should not feel sorry as she will forget it right after she goes home. They do not tolerate Lena's hypocrisy, whom they think pretending to be sad. Theo mentions the government, including Lena, threw them away on the battlefield and treated them like machines, while Lena watches them from a warm and cozy place. Theo vents out his anger to Lena, saying they are isolated and forced to fight. The government even has caused millions of deaths over the last 9 years. Moreover, Theo says Lena never even asks what their names are. Handler 1 is shocked to hear that. Her heart is sad and broken into pieces when she hears Theo's words. It seems like the whole crew doesn't like Handler 1. They ask Lena not to contact them again. Theo apologizes for tarnishing Kay's death on the battlefield. When they return to their camp, they try to cheer Theo up so that he won't be sad anymore. Theo goes to the warehouse to see their machine being repaired. As usual, Aldrich is upset because Shin pushed the machine too much. Theo approaches Shin and asks what he did to Handler 1. He asks if the Fox Commander agrees with his opinion. Shin replies that if the Fox Commander was there, it's impossible to do something like that. Theo falls silent, looking quite regretful. Shin returns to his room while holding the names of soldiers who died on the battlefield. Handler 1 calls Shin. The scene shows Major Malais, who feels regret for what happened in the 86th district. She tells everything to Annette. Annette advises not to get involved with the 86th district. She advises Lena to live a relaxed, comfortable, and calm life, but Lena feels that she doesn't treat them as humans. She doesn't even know their real names. Annette states that the war has already happened, and there is no way to fix everything. She suggests that Lena stop being a handler and join her in the laboratory. Lena leaves Annette. She will never stop being a handler. Lena recalls her father's words when he was a colonel. He said that they had to stop the war immediately, and suddenly the accident happened. Lena wakes up from her reverie. The general meets Major Malais and asks about her condition. They go to the general's room. Major Malais has the same dream as her father. The general states that no matter how much he discusses equality, he isn't the one fighting. It is impossible for ordinary soldiers to understand that. That is the fact of ignorance and stupidity committed by Major Malais' father. The general doesn't want Lena to be like her father. The general emphasizes that dreams are just dreams and cannot be achieved. Lena leaves the office. All the way she thinks of Theo's words, she runs and cries about the current situation. Lena contacts Undertaker and asks him to inform the names of the unit members from District 86. Lena wants to start getting to know them somehow. Shin gives the names of the members to her and Lena writes them down in a book. Lena asks if she can talk to them. Shin then connects to the others. Lena begins to apologize to all 86 members. Lena introduces herself as Vladilena Malais, a major. She wants the members to introduce themselves one by one. Theo starts talking to Lena, telling her the symbol on his juggernaut is a fox. He explains he got it from someone else, the war commander of the first unit he was assigned to. He was an Alba like Lena, a hero who defended 86 by returning to the battlefield. He then mentions his name is Theodorica. The staff chief, Raiden Shubik, continues to introduce himself. Raiden apologizes to Lena for what they said to her, but it cannot stop them from hating Lena. Lena laughs to hear that. She tells them she will help them pass the time and will keep in touch with them. Raiden laughs and asks Lena to send the map. Lena quickly agrees. Daya, Haruto, Anju, Emma, Kirina, Kukumila, Leka, Shiz, and Kino continue to introduce themselves. Lena thanks them because they want to get to know her. Lena is still connected to Undertaker. She wants to know his real name. Shin doesn't mind, and he mentions his name is Shiny Nuzin. Lena is surprised to hear the name. Lena asks him if he knows Shorei Nuzin. Shin falls silent for a moment. He then tells Lena that he is his brother. Lena recalls her childhood when she was attacked by an enemy in the forest. There was a juggernaut that attacked the enemy. The juggernaut managed to defeat the enemy, and Lena was safe. The man walked out of the juggernaut and helped Lena, who was frightened. He then gave her a chocolate. The man was Shorei Nozin. It turns out he is Shin's brother. Lena tells Shin about the incident. The next day, N8 invites Lena to choose a party gown because there will be a festival coming up. Lena seems not to be interested in going. N8 tells Lena not to get close to 86th District. Lena contacts Shin again. She tells him about the festival. Shin suggests that she go to the festival. Shin suggests Lena go and not force herself to care about District 86. Lena says she doesn't mind that. She states that parties are boring for her. Lena thinks that the information she provided was useless for the Undertaker. Shin replies that the report Lena gave was very useful and accurate. While listening to Shin, Lena decides to go to the party. Lena asks Shin if he remembers about the festival. Shin replies he only remembers fireworks in the park with a fountain there. Lena asks him again if he ever lived in District 1. He replies it seems so. He went there with his brother. Lena then conveys his brother's message to Shin. His brother thought that Shin would grow up big and strong, and that he really loved his brother. They talk like friends. Lena goes up the stairs and sees a couple kissing. She is embarrassed and runs away. Shin asks her what is going on. Lena shyly replies that it is nothing. Just then, they find the legions about to strike. Lena runs to the control room and monitors the enemy's movement. Undertaker tells Lena to turn off her raid because the call can encounter black sheep. Lena refuses as she wants to keep connected so that she can give him information. Shin tells her that he warned her. Not long after that, weird voices are heard through Lena's raid. A gloomy and heartbreaking sound is heard. Many voices are heard saying that they don't want to die. Lena screams hysterically, unable to bear it. Shin quickly turns off their connection. As she arrives home, Lena takes a look at her raid and intends to use it. As she wants to touch it, she remembers the sounds of death in her ears. She cries and thinks about what happened. Returning to the battlefield, they have to fight a lot of legions which keep approaching. It seems that the Spearhead members can hear the voices of the dead during the war. Shin asks his unit to arrange an attack formation and the enemy is successfully paralyzed. The Spearhead returns to the camp. Raiden states that it is a tiring day. They think that when the handler heard the voices of death, she will stop calling them. It turns out Lena still contacts them. She asks the captain what sound she heard earlier. Shin then starts to tell him a story. He says he was almost dead and since then he can hear the voices of dead people. The voice also came from the legions that attacked them. It lets Shin know when legion comes to attack. Shin states he always hears the voice even when he sleeps. It seems the Major is starting to pay attention to him. Shin says the Republic government predicts the war will end in 2 years. Theo was told by the previous commander that the Legion has less than 2 years and its time is about to end. It turns out Legion is made from the human nervous system like a copy of the brain. That is the reason soldiers don't have graves after they died, and what the Major heard is Kay's voice who is in the Legion. Their minds are copied by the Legions. That's what is called Black Sheep. Shin tells Lena to give in because soon District 86 members will die on the battlefield. He asks whether Alba will fight after that happens. Lena cannot answer it. The enemy will be stronger in the future. Lena asks the captain to fight with her this year because Shin's position will end this year. The scene shows little Shin running around the battalion by himself. He is left alone as there are no lives around him. Returning to District 86, the squad is patrolling around the area with their juggernauts. They recall the incident that night when they got to know each other when Kay was still alive. The night festival they made for their team. They'd enjoyed the moment as if they had forgotten that they would go to war. It was the moment when the members were still complete before one by one died on the battlefield. It didn't feel like it had happened 4 months ago. It was a beautiful memory that was hard to forget for District 86. They begin the fight. The Major is connected with them. This time, the Legion is bigger than before. Shin arranges the attacking coordinate for the unit. This time, the Scorpions have learned how to fight Spearhead. Their movements can be ready by the enemies. Daya's Juggernaut is attacked by a Scorpion and explodes. His last word is Anju. There are 2 casualties in the battle. Lena feels sorry for those who died in the war. Shin keeps giving orders to the remaining units to fight. They finally manage to defeat the enemies. Shin tells Lena to turn off her raid as he's about to kill his unit, which suffers severe injuries before legions come and take over. However, Lena decides to listen to it as it is the only way she can do it with them. Just then, a weird sound is heard. Shin turns his head and looks surprised. Returning to the camp, Anju looks tough about Daya's death. They gather in the living room doing their activities as usual. Shin walks with Raiden. They lost Daya and Lekka. Shin will keep fighting until he can make a grave for his brother. Shin enters his room and engraves the dead soldier's name. A glimpse flashes through his head, the image of his brother blaming him for the death of their parents. His brother strangled Shin's neck as if he was going to kill him. The scene switches to Major Malai's. She feels devastated by the loss of Unit 86 while she was in her seat, watching the combat. Lena sits musing on the situation while drinking a cup of tea. She seems to want to ask something. N8 asks her what she wants to know. Lena states that if PRA raid has a kind of effect on someone's mind, but N8 interrupts her, stating that they will undergo surgery, open the processor's brain, and conduct a thorough inspection. It is the same with what they will do to Undertaker, and they will get rid of him once they have done. Major Malais reports to the general the battle resulted in 2 casualties. She asks the government to save the remaining 86 soldiers. The general states it is impossible because District 86 is close to the mines, and if they die and there are no survivors left, there will be a replacement, so it goes on. The general gives a new mission for the 86 armies to destroy a station near them. Lena asks for reinforcement for District 86, but the general doesn't allow it. He asks Lena to stop citing the 86ers. Lena gives the new mission for Spearhead. She apologizes that she cannot send the replacement. She states she wants to help using the mortar, but she is not allowed to use that. The members understand it won't happen. They accept their fate to die in an unwanted battle. All raids are turned off except Shin's. Shin asks about Lena's condition as she sounds weak. Shin asks Lena to rest and eat sweets. Lena laughs. She says Shin sounds like his brother. Shin asks Lena how his brother's expression. Lena replies she remembers it well. His brother looked cool at that time. Lena then says that she will never forget the times she talks to Shin. As she realizes what she said, she feels shy and turns off her raid. That night, they gather and set off the fireworks, commemorating their friends' deaths. Andrew weeps over Daya's death and the others. Shin is seen talking to Major through his raid. They become close to each other over time. Lena attempts to deliver something to District 86. At first, the officer is suspicious of its content, but Lena pays him so the package can be delivered. Lena looks tired of what happened because she couldn't help them. As she comes home, she activates her raid and is connected to Shuga. Lena looks for Shin, but it turns out he is already sleeping. Lena tells them that she tries to send them ammunition. She tries her best to help them. She asks them to try to survive. Lena then goes to report to the general and asks that the general grant her wish. The general replies he will try to help her. He also asks Lena to attend the festival tonight. That evening, Lena goes to the festival. She wears a black dress as if she is mourning. N8 protests her dress, but she leaves immediately when she spots her fiancé there. Lena's raid is on. There is a call from the captain, asking about her condition. Lena looks happy that Shin calls her. Shin thanks her for sending them the ammunition and the fireworks. Shin tells her everyone enjoys it at the camp. He asks if she can see it. Lena says she cannot see it because the sky in her place is very bright, but she says that she can feel them playing with the fireworks. Shin feels he has given proper respect to fallen armies. Shin tells her Anju is crying, letting out her feelings she had been holding back. It is hard to forget Daya and her life. Shin asks Lena to never forget them. Lena replies she won't forget them and she won't let Shin die. Returning to Shin, who receives a package of ammunition and machine. There are also several fireworks from Lena to them. In the bathroom, Anju and Kurina talk about Lena, who is kind to them. Kurina wants to tell Lena to stop because it will hurt herself knowing they will die in the battle. Anju recalls Daya, who told her she has beautiful long hair. Now Daya has left them. Anju advises Kurina to tell Shin about her feelings because one day they will be taken by the Reaper with him. Meanwhile, who will carry Shin's heart after he dies? Returning to the battlefield, District 86 begins to attack the Legion's base. Shin tells everyone not to fall for the enemy's bait. The enemy is increasing and they take refuge in an empty battalion. Lena says she will send reinforcement. Shin stops her, saying that no one will come. This place will be their execution ground. Shin asks Shuga and the rest if they are ready. It seems like a suicide mission. Lena is devastated as she cannot do anything about it. The government doesn't want to help them and it will be dangerous if they survive. The government is afraid that they will stage a rebellion. And this is the end of them, Battalion 86, the last place they serve. From the beginning, they were set to die in battle. Lena asks if they realize it is a massacre. They respond to her, saying they were aware from the start when they were sent to District 86. Lena asks them why they didn't take revenge. Raiden replies how they can do that because the government is like trash. They treat them like trash, but they refuse to become like them. They would rather die fighting against legions. They wanted death free from the rubbish government. Raiden states it is their pride, fighting to survive. Shin tells Raiden he has found him. Raiden stands up and asks if he is his brother. It turns out Shin's brother has found them first. He then tells Raiden to hang himself tonight. Looking happy, Raiden chooses to fight with the Reaper. Meanwhile, Lena is looking for previous report files and sees that all reports contain killing the surviving units. She remembers Raiden's words last night. Lena is angry but helpless and cannot do anything. She then goes to N8's house. They discuss a 0% survival mission. N8 says it is maybe what the government wants. Lena asks N8 to help them, but she replies she cannot do anything against the Republican government. Lena asks her to stop pretending to be an evil person. However, N8 suddenly gets mad and shouts at Lena, telling her she is the one who is stupid for trying to against the government. Lena is surprised to see N8's sudden change. N8 then tells her bitter experience with her neighbor. She befriended her neighbor's son who became 86er. She couldn't do anything about it and called him with bad words. When her father wanted to adopt her neighbor's sons, she objected because she didn't want to get into a problem. Her heart was broken for betraying her friends. She also felt guilty like Lena does. N8 then tells Lena to go with her to her neighbor's old house. They were researchers like her father. When the government found out they were developing a sophisticated machine, the government took over and killed him. Her father felt guilty and committed suicide. N8 tried to make an experiment but was declined. N8 then states that 86ers died because of Lena's fault, which disturbed the government. Moreover, N8 says she hates her and doesn't want to see her anymore. Lena then goes to see the general and requests the mission cancellation for Spearhead. The general asks Lena not to get involved. He states that 86ers must die as that is the best for the country according to both the government and the people. The general explains if they are dead, their existence will vanish and thus, the Republic will not make any mistakes and the people will not figure it out. Their duty as military officers is to follow the people's wants. Lena says that 86ers are part of the Republic of Magnolia and they have rights to be protected. The general emphasizes that the government itself executes San Magnolia for the sake of wealth and greed on their side. Hopes and decisions are the same thing. Lena gives the new mission to Shin, but she asks him and the others to run away. Shin replies where they can go because one day they will be dead anyway. Lena cannot blame other people because death comes a bit earlier. Shin explains they will not die in vain because after they die, they will have a place to live free. Shin asks Lena not to belittle their reason. Lena understands that Shin lives only to kill his brother because he still can smile coldly when he is sad. When they talk about his brother, Lena asks Shin not to fight him even if he's a part of the Legions because he cannot fight his brother. It turns out his brother is a spearhead and Shin cannot go further without killing his brother. Shin asks Lena to stop contacting him and tells her to stay alive. The communication device is deactivated. The battle equipment has been prepared by Aldrich. There are only 5 people left who are ready to fight. When they are together, Aldrich calls them to hear his advice. Their camp looks quiet because many of them died. They have breakfast and reminisce about their promise when they first met. The room was filled with 86 units and now only 5 people remained. Theo asks Shin if Major never called him again. Raiden asks Theo if he misses her. Theo admits that it bothers him. The mayor should have said goodbye to them. They begin to walk to their juggernauts. There are snacks Aldrich placed for them. Finally, they begin to walk to the war. The scene shows Shin's brother who loses control and almost kills little Shin. He strangles his neck and blames him for their parents' death. Now 86 is on the battlefield. There are a lot of legions there. Shin hears his brother's voice calling out for him and moves forward. Shin asks Raiden to go to the forest with the others. After he kills his brother, he will catch up with them. Raiden refuses and wants to fight with him. They begin to fight the legions. Strangely, the legions send Raiden and the others away from Shin. It seems like Shin's brother wants to see him. Shin skillfully advances with his juggernaut fighting the legions and attacking his brother. However, his bullets cannot pierce the legions. The battle is filled with the legions. They run out of ammunition and they have a very small chance to survive. Just then, a mortar attack comes from the air attacking the entire legions. Lena borrows Raiden's left eye to connect to the battlefield. It can cause blindness, but Lena doesn't care. She decides to help those who remain. Shin is enthusiastic about fighting his brother. He has been waiting for a long time to fight against his brother. Lena asks Lieutenant Kukumila to find the enemy's position and sends it to her. She asks the lieutenant for her final instructions. Suddenly, with the targeting wave, Lena has a plan and doesn't want Shin to die. On the battlefield, Shin's brother in Legion manages to catch Shin's juggernaut. He changes into an elastic shape. From afar, Lieutenant Kukumila tries to fire artillery shells to paralyze him. Shin's signal starts to come back on. He wakes up because of calls from his friends and the Major. Shin gets up again and hunts his brother with cannon fire. He says goodbye to his brother and the Legion explodes. Shin's juggernaut jumps away from the explosion. Shin cries, remembering his older brother, who is gone forever. The scene shows the time before the combat. Lena goes to see Innate. She asks for her help to break into the mortar system and synchronize the raid on Spearhead. At first, Innate refuses, but Lena tells her that her neighbor is Shin and he is in Unit 86. She explains that Undertaker is Shin, and if she wants to make amends, then she will certainly help her. Lena threatens her because she had left Shin twice and now it's the third time. Lena asks her if she won't do that. Returning to Lena, who is connected to Undertaker. They thank Major for her help. Shin says he made his brother rest in peace. Thanks to Lena, they managed to win the battle. Lena states that she is Spearhead's handler. Meanwhile, Undertaker and the others keep moving. It seems like they aren't hunting anymore. Their coordinates are far from District 86. Lena knows they will go far away. She runs down the road and tries to run as fast as possible until the location of the Spearheads is not visible on the monitor. They have left the Magnolia government and go to a faraway place. Shin says goodbye to Lena and their communication device raid is disconnected. Lena cries because she is separated from Shin and the others forever. Shin and the others arrive at a new place. They take a rest while eating and drinking and enjoying the beautiful scenery together. They hide from the legions to survive. Raiden tells them they have to move forward. They have turned off the tracker and don't know where they are. Theo is happy that he is now a free person. Shin asks them to rest first and wash their dirty clothes. Karina plays in the garden as if she has no burden. Raiden and Shin catch fish in the river. They feel they are the last people alive. Unit 86's victims are 576 people, including his older brother. Raiden asks how far they can bring them because they cannot survive without supplies. They recall what the Major said about going where they want to go and seeing the things they want to see. They arrive in the old Imperial area. Shin wants to see what their city looks like. They walk towards the city and look around. Basically, they are all still children who come from different cities united by the war in Unit 86. Shin doesn't remember his parents and the city he lived in. The city feels unfamiliar to him. Now they are in the enemy's territory, where the legions are. It seems that Shin and his friends do not want to fight anymore and prefer hiding. Shin gets used to hearing legions' voices. Kirina soaks in the hot springs and it feels refreshing. Her friend warns her to keep quiet as the legions can find them. Fido finds fuel so that they can use it. Their current status is fugitive. Shin now laughs out loud more often and falls asleep soundly at night. His friends discuss his condition, who is so free now. The burden about his brother had been resolved and he brought the soldiers with him. Now, the Reaper is peacefully living his life. They also said to the mayor that they had gone. The next morning, Shin wakes up and leaves his friends wandering without bringing any weapons. Raiden and the others wake up and see Shin. They continue their journey towards an alley. There is a building that looks like it used to be the zoo. As they walk forward, they see Shin looking at a legion. When he is about to approach the legion, he is stopped by Raiden. Shin tells him the legion is not dangerous. He has heard of the legion's voice since last night. It seems the legion is a member of 86. His last word is he wants to go home and Shin shoots him to die. They keep walking to the outskirts, hoping to find a place to live. In fairy tales, a journey like this usually ends in a beautiful place. All their beautiful memories, the members of Unit 86, are recorded in Fado's camera. The scene then shows Shin and the others are attacked by the legions. They fight against the legions which are lurking. Kirina wakes up from her unconsciousness. She screams seeing Shin is about to be attacked. Fido covers Shin from the attack. Fido holds the attack and falls. They fight all night long. Fido looks badly damaged. Shin tries to fix it, but it's still damaged. Raiden asks if Shin will leave Fido. Shin replies they can't take it in damaged condition. They cannot move any further. They still have guns, but there is no more ammunition. Only Shin's Juggernaut is usable. They lose their container. They have to replace Shin to be the pilot. Kirina takes the role first. They get on Shin's Juggernaut, which is tied with the tank. Shin tells Kirina to head to the cave ahead. The rain pours down heavily. They take shelter in the cave. Theo and the others look at the pouring rain. There they can see legions patrolling. Kirina comments they managed to avoid the legions thanks to Shin. There are more legions spotted. Raiden says they seem to get close to their base. Shin looks gloomy. They keep walking until they pass by an Imperial school. Because Kirina has never attended a school before, she just found out what the school looks like. Kirina invites the others to sleep in the school building tonight. Shin agrees and they enter the building. They walk around the school. Kirina enters a classroom and looks at the chalkboard filled with handwriting. Andrew asks her if she can read. Kirina says no. Shin says school is a place full of memories. He asks if Raiden likes the school. He says no. Andrew then takes the role of the teacher. She checks everyone's attendance. She calls Raiden Shuga and he raises his hand saying present. Anju goes on to call Theo to Rika and he answers it. The next is Karina Kukumila. Karina enthusiastically says present. The next is Anju Emma present and the last Shiny Nozan. Shin smiles and says present. They break the chairs and use them as firewood. Raiden arranges the wood and asks how to burn it. Shin tears up the textbooks to light a fire. Anju looks at the books sadly. Theo picks up the book and looks at it. The fire is ready and they surround the fire to keep warm. Karina eats the last sweet, saying no more dessert after dinner. Raiden and Shin talk about their journey. Without supplies and fuel, it will be hard for them to survive. Raiden feels the happy hiking is going to end. Now it is Raiden's turn to become the pilot. They say they graduated from school in just one day, indicating they are smart and have a bright future. Now Anju becomes the pilot. Raiden wonders if they are in the right direction. Shin confirms it. Theo and Raiden fall asleep while Karina looks around. Shin tells Anju to take turns. Anju tells him her turn is until lunchtime, but Shin replies he is bored. Theo complains as he doesn't expect to have much free time. Karina adds that nothing they can do except look at the scenery. Shin takes the pilot's seat. He releases the rope from the tank and shoots at rocks to block the road. Shin asks them to go into the forest to be protected from the legions while he walks forward by himself to fight the legions. Moreover, he says to ask for help if they find humans out there. Theo cannot accept that as Shin will become the bait. Karina cries because Shin leaves them. Shin also turns off his communication device. Shin faces off against the legions all by himself. Raiden decides to search for Shin. Anju and the others come with him. There is a long-range cannon fire from above. Shin hears the sound of death again. It says to kill everyone who harms the princess. Shin's Juggernaut's leg falls off. In front of him, a legion comes closer. The legion seems to target Shin's head, but Raiden and the others come to help. They keep calling his name until he wakes up. Shin tells them stupid because legions cannot be defeated with regular weapons. Theo runs out of weapons and gets hit by the explosion. He faints and so do his friends. Shin is helpless, ready to become a part of the legions. The scene switches to Major Melise, who is trying to land on the Battalion 86. Major walks to the warehouse, but Aldrich stops her, saying Fado is not there because Shin and the others took him. It turns out Major Melise is suspended. She brings the next squad of 86. Aldrich says he has seen the units come and go, but it is the first time he sees a handler there. It turns out Aldrich is an Alba like her. He went with his wife and his son, but they ended up killed. He was the only one who survived. Aldrich told them he was an Alba before they did the mission. He even said they were free to hate him and he was willing to be killed, but none of them did that. That's why he is still alive until now. Major Melise walks around the camp where Shin and his friends lived. She looks at every room and enters the room where Shin used to live. Lena sees a black cat and she follows the cat. The cat claws at the drawer near the desk. Lena opens the drawer and picks up a toy for the cat. She then spots a book and she picks it up. She opens the book and there is a message written for her. They ask Lena to name the cat. Lena weeps over the message written for her. Shin writes to her, asking her to send them some flowers if she comes to their place one day. Hence, Lena decides to keep walking because they believe in her until the end. She states she will keep fighting until fate comes to her. The scene shows Handler 1 who is giving instructions to Unit 86 to attack the legions. Catherine Melise walks to her workstation. Old men sit and drunken. They tease Lena, calling her the princess who beat the puppet is passing by. Lena and her unit always win over the legions. Lena walks and greets Annette. Annette will discuss raid Lena asked previously, and they will meet in 2 hours. Lena goes to the lieutenant colonel's room to report. He scolds Captain Melise for the unauthorized use of mortars and for taking command of other units. Lena replies if he had given permission in advance, it wouldn't have happened. The lieutenant colonel gets mad at her and warns her that she is just a captain. Lena answers loudly that the results of her subordinates' work will affect his career. Lena is only a general, and if her legion destruction rate falls, the general will not be promoted. Just then, her raid is connected to Cyclops, who gives her a report that they found an enemy unit on patrol. Looks like Lena comes late than the promised time. She apologizes to Annette because she forgot it. Annette discusses the topic right away. During the night, Lena talks to the new Unit 86, asking how they are doing, their names, and others. Cyclops feels that thanks to Lena, they will live a long time. In a few months, they will go to Spearhead together with the strongest person before them. Lena brings the previous 86 a black cat to live with her at home. Lena remembers the previous Spearhead's messages for her to survive and live. Elsewhere, the scene shows a flash of Shin's brother carrying young Shin in his arms. Suddenly, his brother leaves him alone. Shin wakes up from his long slumber. He is in an unfamiliar room. Just then, a man in his special suit enters the room. The man takes off his uniform and explains he found him when he was attacked by legions and they tried to save him. The man is Ernst Zimmermann. He is the president of the Gaiad Federation. They are people who defeated the Jadian Empire, which invented legions to start the war and changed into federal. Thus, they are still against the remaining legions. Shin remembers his friends. Ernst understands what he means, and he then shows him that his friends are in the next room. Shin feels relieved to see they are safe. He wonders what happened to them. Ernst explains they are the first foreign visitors since the founding of the federal state. Ernest then leaves Shin in his room. Raiden comments that Shin slept for 3 days. Kurina cried for days seeing his condition. Theo and Anju scold Shin, who acted recklessly. His friends scold him and ask him not to do it again. Shin apologizes to them. The president announces they will be federal citizens. Shin and his friends are suspicious of why the president is kind to them and chooses to save them. The president replies that he did it because of his instinct to save humanity and there are no advantages or disadvantages for the benchmark. Moreover, the president explains he is going to be their guardian in Federacy. In the base, the members are holding a meeting discussing the mech Juggernaut against the legions. This mech has high mobility and is experienced in fighting against the enemy. The commander proposes to the president that they are involved in to fight. However, the president declines, saying that they had been fighting for a long time and let them have a free life. Shin and the others get into the car and go around the city. Kurina looks at the landscape of the federal city through the window, followed by Theo and Raiden. They see 86 supporters raising campaigns to save them. The people built a monument for them. They finally arrive at the president's house. Inside, a girl welcomes them, calling them miserable people expelled from their country. Moreover, she states that the great Gaiad will treat them with mercy and compassion. They don't expect anything back from them but to thank her, the princess. Raiden asks the president to teach his daughter some manners. He explains that the girl is not his daughter. Her name is Frederica Rosenfort, and for some reason, she lives there. The president explains that legally Frederica is his daughter, and so they are. Thus, they automatically become family, and Frederica is their sister. Because she acts cute, Shin bullies her and she cries, complaining about the matter to Teresa. Teresa then introduces herself to Shin and the others. She is the housekeeper. They then enter their room to rest. The president enters Shin's room and hands him his stuff. The president goes to thank Teresa for taking care of the children. Teresa replies it is her job to serve him. In his room, Shin looks at the symbol of his juggernaut. The next morning, Frederica watches TV and watches a girl asking something to a man so that her wish is granted. Raiden goes to work as the delivery man with his new friends. Kurina strolls down the street while reading a magazine and looks at a dress in a store. Theo goes to the park and draws there. He's approached by an old man who compliments his drawing. Anju takes a course to make cakes and is greeted by her friends. In the library, Shin walks alone and is looked at by the women who admire his handsome face. Shin spots a book on the desk, and as he is about to pick it up, a girl grabs the book first. Her brother quickly apologizes to him. They get to know each other. The boy is Eugene Rance. Meanwhile, Frederica introduces herself to Eugene's sister. Eugene asks Shin if Frederica is his sister. Shin coldly replies no to him. Frederica asks Shin to hang out with her. She asks Shin to bring her to the festival and looks at the ornaments. Frederica looks at the doll and she acts cute like the woman she watched on TV this morning. Her trick works and Shin buys her the doll. It seems the winter has come. They watch the snowfalls. Shin and his friends do the same activities every day. While Shin is in the library, he falls asleep and dreams about Kei, who is saved by the Reaper. Shin wakes up after Eugene wakes him up. Eugene invites Shin to watch the Christmas Eve military parade. Eugene states he wants to join the military for the mechanized forces. Therefore, he wants to see the festival. Eugene notices Shin reading a military documentary book, so he concludes Shin is also interested in going. Eugene says he wants to go to war and protect his sister. One day, he wants his sister to see the ocean. Kurina looks at the clothes in the store, but it was already bought. Anju and Theo meet outside. Anju asks him to help her to carry something. It seems they need more people. Theo decides to call Shin. He touches his ear to activate his implant, but realizes they don't need it anymore. Theo complains that they have to use cell phones to communicate with each other. They then talk about Shin, who seems to be wanting to have his scarf and his gun back. Ernst found his gun. It seems that Anju and Theo want to fight again. The news about the launching of juggernauts on TV makes them reminisce about the past. Raiden and Kurina also feel the same. They long to fight with their juggernauts. Raiden comes home and finds Frederica looking lethargic. Frederica starts acting cute, asking Raiden to make her some food. Raiden then goes to cook her omelette. Initially, Raiden plans on hanging out with his friends, but he cancels his appointment because of her. Shin comes home with the others and Teresa while carrying the groceries. Not long after that, Karina arrives. Her face looks gloomy after seeing everything she needed to. She says she wants to end this and go back to becoming like they were. They then bring up the matter to the president. They state they feel they have enough rest. At first, Ernst doesn't agree with the idea of returning to the war, but Frederica tells him not to keep them in the cage when they want to be free. If he insists on doing that, he isn't different from what the Republic did to them. Ernst then allows them to join the army on one condition. He wants them to go through the Special Officer Academy to be enlisted as officers. Frederica then tells them her origin. She is the last empress of the Jadian Empire who sent legions to invade the mainland 10 years ago. She was one of those who took their family and their home. She tells them to say it if they want to complain. Shin and his friends do not care about that. Frederica admits their pride. She wants to request that if they go to war, she wants to come with them, and asks them to destroy her undead knight. Shin asks her if he was taken by the legions. Frederica confirms it's the legion that attacked him. It turns out Frederica can see things that happened in the past and what will happen in the future through her eyes. Therefore, she can see his relationship with his brother. Frederica asks them to save Korea. Shin and Eugene practice using the juggernauts in the Officer Academy. The coach gives them direction. Marcel gets a little out of hand and is about to crash into Shin's juggernaut. Shin jumps, avoiding the crash with his juggernaut, causing one of its legs to break. However, he manages to stop the collision. The coach reprimands them. Marcel tries to explain the reason, but it is wrong. The coach gives him a score of 0 on this test. He also scolds Shin for his actions. Shin explains it is the only way to avoid the collision. He states that it's better to lose one leg than both. The coach compliments his action, but he also gets 0 for his recklessness. Marcel doesn't like Shin. He grabs Eugene and tells him to stay away from Shin. Eugene meets Frederica. Frederica wants to take a photo of Shin and Eugene together. Frederica leaves them, giving them time to talk. Frederica joins the mascot. Her job is the same as the handler. Shin asks Eugene about his sister. He says she is lonely because she lives with their aunt. They don't have parents anymore. Eugene wants his sister to go to a great school. That's why he wants to earn a lot of money. Later that night, they go to the battlefield. Shin's unit takes many casualties, including Eugene. He becomes one of the Legion's victims. His body is destroyed and bleeding a lot. He asks Shin to take his necklace to look at Nina's photo for the last time. Shin shows Nina's photo and Eugene asks him to end his life before he turns into a Legion. Shin pulls the trigger and Eugene dies. Marcel runs after seeing Eugene die. He is angry at Shin because he let Eugene die. Shin gives Eugene's necklace to Marcel and asks him to write a report. Shin tells him the legions are coming and tells him to return to the force. Shin is connected to Frederica. She asks him if he is alright. Shin confirms it. The commanders hold a meeting discussing the legion's high-scale attack in the coming days according to the report from the Joint Analysis Team. Commander Wenzel proposes to rearrange the unit for attacking preparation. She asks that her group be returned. Commander Land protests for making 86 to go to war again, and it may take their lives. Commander Wenzel suggests that they activate her Regen Leaf for the new weapon and Nordlicht Squadron to be used properly. Shin and the colonel walk together while discussing the new commander in their unit. She earns the nickname a Weird Spider Woman among the higher-ups. They ask for supplies, but this is not granted. Shin comments that he gets used to not getting supplies. The colonel says it is not a problem as long as he doesn't make them killed. Although he is the Reaper, it is not a problem for him. The colonel calls Shin, who is miles away. He tells Shin to look at Frederica, who is walking with her clothes slightly open. She has just woken up and is not fully conscious. Shin tells her to change her clothes before leaving her room. He pulls her hair and throws her into Anju's arms. Anju tells Theo to get a uniform. The colonel comments that they have a military rule organization filled with inefficient and illogical humans. According to the rules, he asks Shin to sign the report. Frederica is weeping during lunch. Shin tells Frederica to eat her food. However, she feels angry and sad. Raiden comments that she walks half-naked with sleepy eyes, causing her to get angry even more. Just then, Karina arrives and greets everyone. She is surprised to learn that Frederica walked half-naked. Theo is about to explain, but is stopped by Frederica. Frederica says they get used to being military henchmen. Today, they will return to base together. They depart to the command base of Division 177, Federal Republic of Jayad, and are welcomed by Commander Wenzel. Commander Wenzel holds a meeting and states that Regen Leaf works better with them. The commander asks Lieutenant Shin about how the current design she made. Shin replies if it is related to Juggernaut. The commander interrupts him, saying its name is Regen Leaf, but Shin keeps calling it Juggernaut. He continues, is an aluminum coffin better than that of the Republic? The others comment about its function. The commander feels a bit belittled because they doubt the maker's sanity. She states the one driving the unit is crazier than the one who made it. Shin replies that the results are not bad. Although they put a processor, the Juggernaut is fast and easy to maneuver. Shin finds out that the commander is the person who recommends them. The commander challenges kids their age to the front line, especially 86ers like them. The commander was the pilot of the Vanagander when the war started 10 years ago. Her friends died on the battlefield because Vanagander was slow. If they had been quicker, there probably wouldn't have been any victims. That was the reason she created Raging Leaf. Later, the commander informs that the United Kingdom of Rogue Grecia and the Alliance of Lad succeeded in building a defense line and defending their area, but other surrounding countries, as well as the Republic of San Magnolia in the west, still have not answered their messages. The bad news is that the Federation predicts the legions will launch a large-scale attack. She explains the West Front will go through reinforcement and regroup, and the test troop 1028 will become a regular armored force under Division 177. The commander will lead the command. She states that Raging Leaf and Nordlicht shall show their power. Shin asks how large the attack will be. The commander replies that they estimate their forces will be enough to counter. The Federation will not leave people who fight with them. Frederica enters Shin's room. She comments that his room looks empty and boring. Shin comments the room is only for sleeping and it will be troublesome if there are a lot of things. Frederica replies it is not just a room, but a home for her. Moreover, she tells him that Eugene's room has a lot of beautiful pictures. Shin asks her if she cleaned it up. Frederica says she only came to visit. Shin goes to ask her if he resembles Kiria a lot. Frederica then tells him about Kiria, her knight who looks like him. She begins to tell him about Kiria. She draws Shin and his friends in her book. Shin asks her why he became a legion. Frederica explains the Jadian Empire used the legions to invade the neighboring countries, and after the invasion, people rebelled and the royal families were expelled to a fort on the border. The legion should have protected them as soldiers, but ironically, she didn't know what had happened. Basically, legions were created not to be against humans. They had to use human soldiers to defend the fort. Shin asks again if she means the current Federation armies. She confirms it and she tells him Kiria fought against the legions a lot and he became insane. He lost all his family and lost too much until he fought for Frederica, the only purpose of his life. Finally, they were defeated by the Federation and luckily Ernst protected her. Kiria heard about her fake death and he changed into a legion because of that. Kiria turned into an undead legion because of her. Frederica asks Shin not to die. Rescuing Kiria is important, but his safety and the others are much more important. She says Shin has to think of his life when he is on leave. Shin smiles to hear that. Shin carries her who falls asleep in his room and gives her to Raiden. Shin recalls that Frederica is like how he used to be. Raiden comments she seems to like Shin. Raiden asks Kirina to fetch the princess. Raiden tells Shin to hide his ability because they call him the Reaper. He thinks that the Federation is not as noble as they think and that they are treated the same as their people. He warns him not to take stupid action. Shin says that Frederica told him to think of the future. It doesn't cross his mind. He wonders how about Raiden. Raiden thinks that defeating the legions is the most important thing. Shin wonders how the Major is. Raiden takes a glance at him and sighs. Shin wakes Raiden up who is sleeping. He pulls his pillow. They must hurry as the forces from other countries will arrive, but the legions come in great numbers and cannot be counted. The West Front is the most important one. Raiden comments it is such an honor. Shin warns Raiden not to contact him unless it is necessary. He thinks that he gets an uneasy feeling for tonight. He then tells Raiden to wake up the others. The armies complain about being woken up in the middle of the night. They get ready in their respective units. The federal soldiers prepare to welcome the legions. The troops are attacked from above by the legions. Their front line suffers many casualties. They ask for help from the rear to attack. Commander Wenzel watches through the monitors. All countries are attacked by the legions in a large-scale attack. The West Front seems like they are going to fall. Shin tells the commander their unit is ready. The fortress is conquered by the legions. The remaining armies almost get hit, but Shin's unit comes to help. They begin to strike with agility. Shin tells the remaining armies to gather and retreat. They try to buy time and test the commander's machine. Shin's unit easily takes down the legions. The Federation army tells Shin's unit to retreat because their position is safe, but Shin replies, it is just a partial legion attack. The main attack will come in greater numbers. Shin tells the soldiers to defend the area, while his squadron will advance to fight the legions. Shin gives a command to paralyze the front line of the legion's army. They begin to shoot at the legions. Their front line is defeated, but from afar more legions are seen approaching. Frederica gets a vision of Korea and the battlefield. Nordlicht's squadron advances to the front line and starts attacking the enemies. Frederica tries to contact Shin with the implant. She sees Shin is fighting like Korea, who isn't afraid of dying. Shin enjoys the battle like the Reaper. The commander is surprised they can advance to the front line and take down the legions. She orders the squadron to retreat as the legions are defeated. Frederica comes to see Shin. When he walks out of his regent leaf, she cries over him, saying he is like Korea. She hugs Shin and calls him stupid. The scene switches to the base of San Magnolia. Lena looks at the alarm going off on the monitor. Captain Elias walks to her room, but is stopped by the general. Lena brings the squadron to Grand Mur area to build the frontline defense before the legions reach District 1. The general forbids her to do that. He states that the people of the Republic are better off being destroyed by the legions than letting 86 enter Grand Mur. He says they won't fight for the Republic because they were persecuted, discarded, and abused by the Republic. They don't have a reason to help the Republic. Lena won't give up and wait to die. She chooses to fight and die with pride. All the officers are called to gather for an emergency meeting. The general then leaves Lena. Lena gives respect to the general and leaves. She confirms to all units to get ready as the Legion comes on a large scale. She asks everyone to fight together till the end. San Magnolia is attacked by the legions from all sides. They look like a sea of flames. Returning to the Federal of Gad, Shin and Frederica are in the Regent Leaf. She closes her eyes so that she won't see his fall. Shin tells Anju to take Frederica away. Frederica asks Shin not to become like Korea. Meanwhile, the enemy creates a new legion called Morpho. He can destroy the city in a blink of an eye. It is like an ultra-long cannon. As Shin reported, the new legions appear. The enemy's bullets are missiles that launch the attack until they are destroyed. The alliance countries have not yet found a way to defeat the Morpho-type legion. The heads of the countries decide to work together to defeat the Morpho. The president asks the preventive measures the federal government should take. The commanders meet to discuss the strengths they have. The federal air defense guns aren't fast enough to knock the Morpho down, and they don't have a chance to try. They have brought many cruise missiles from war zones. They have to choose soldiers with the highest possible success rate. The federal representative comes to see the formidable 86 troops. He says the federal is not like the Republic. No one is irreplaceable in the Federation. It doesn't matter whether the results are good or bad. During lunchtime, Frederica warns Shin and the others not to get too tired and tells them to take a rest. Their mental health is important while facing the enemy. Everyone is anxious because Morpho will be repaired in 2 months. They hope they won't get any attack from the enemy side. 86 squadrons are upset that they didn't listen to Shin, who warned them about the enemy's power. Theo wonders if the Major is still alive. They are surprised to hear that. Andrew says that the Major will never give up. They all look at Shin as if they want to hear his opinion. However, Shin is just silent. Elsewhere, Eugene's sister goes to see Marcel. She asks him to deliver a letter to Shin. He reads the letter and says he will give it to him. In his room, Shin sees a letter tucked in the door. He reads the letter in his Regent Leaf. It says Nina blames him for killing her brother. Shin smiles coldly and closes his Regent Leaf. During the battle, Shin remembers everyone who blamed him. Shin seems a bit out of hand. He hears their screams cursing at him. The voices ring in his mind and his ears. Suddenly, he hears the Major's voice. Later, Shin is called to General Richard's room. He asks about his ability to hear the Legion. Shin shows where they are, and it turns out his guess is correct. The general trusts him, and he is sent to advance at the forefront of the 3 countries' joint attack, a spearhead that penetrates the Legion's defenses. Commander Wenzel opposes the operation as it is a suicide mission. The general replies because they are 86. Shin hears the 86 squadron who trust him. At last, Shin is always left by his friends. His heart feels a deep emptiness. In his mind, he sees the Major walking, saying she won't let him die. He says he wants her to live longer than them. Major asks Shin not to leave her, and that is Shin's greatest hope. The general explains they are chosen because they have experience. A soldier will go to war and die in the war as a part of its job. The commander feels upset that they are not better than that of the Republic treated them. She asks Shin to leave the military after the war ends because he has fought for his country, which refused to protect them. Shin gets angry and argues that they don't want them to pity them. They live with pride and self-respect. They don't want to stop being themselves. The commander has no right to forbid them from fighting, and he refuses to become someone like a Republican. The general seems to doubt that Shin and his squad will win the battle. In the meeting room, they discuss the mission. They are chosen because they are 86, a troop that is not afraid to die. Commander Wenzel meets General Richard. The general tells her not to get involved by 86 because at any time they will turn into killing machines. Commander Wenzel cannot wait to see them grow up and fight for what becomes their rights in the future. She comes to ask permission to use the fighting equipment. The scene then shows Commander Wenzel and her team in front of a closed door. They use an old hangar of the Empire's Air Force, a trial jet that had completed the trial and was to be in mass production. It is the Wing and Ground Aircraft, XC-1. The plane can fly several meters above the ground. It is Naxura's advantage. Frederica comments is a distasteful name because it uses the old vampire name from the Federation that woke up in its tomb to ring the church bell. Theo also thinks the name is distasteful. Raiden asks what if they encounter legions. The commander replies they can avoid it because Lieutenant Nuzin can do that. Shin says he can tell their location to the commander. They think the alliance of 3 countries can overcome most of the enemies, so they don't need to worry. They wonder if they can defeat Morpho once they get there. If they are in the middle of the enemy's territory, their chance to get back is low. Shin says it is more important to think about how to defeat Morpho than how to get back. They wonder who's gonna pilot the plane. The commander says she will be the pilot. Frederica is dawdling because she's not included in the mission. Shin comes to her room saying she doesn't need to be on the battlefield. Shin says Frederica doesn't need to stop them from going to war. Shin asks Frederica if she wants to stop Korea. If she wants to save her knight, then she has to wait for him and the others to destroy the legions. Frederica is upset. She actually doesn't want Shin to die like Korea, but Shin is not her knight. He doesn't want to be forced to join in regret and penance. Frederica is getting angry because Shin doesn't understand what she means by stopping him from leaving. She hugs him while crying. Deep from the bottom of her heart, she doesn't want to lose a brother like him. The Regenly squadron gets on the Naxur. Raiden and the others ask about Frederica, who is sulking because she isn't included. Because she is still angry, she doesn't see them off. Shin asks Fredo to get on board with him. They don't have other choices but the commander who pilots the plane because all the pilots died, and she's the only one who passed the trials. She will accompany them in the battle. She says the country doesn't want them to die. They want the squadron to come home alive, and so does the commander. The president is connected on the monitor of each Regen Leaf. He wants to cherish those who are going to war. The Nordlicht's success in this mission will determine the fate of the Federation and the people outside the country, so they have to take down Morpho. The Federation trusts them. They want them to come home alive. 5 minutes before the attack begins, the president gives instructions to West Front armies to depart to the area conquered by the legions. This war does not only determine the Federal Republic of Jad, but also the Kingdom of Rogue Gracia, the Alliance of Wald, and the other countries that are asking for help. It is a great operation in human history. They are the strongest armor guarding the motherland, the sharp swords blazing trails for mankind's future. The Federation will be the symbol of justice in the world. The president then gives the order to strike. The soldiers begin to fire at the enemies. Naxura is ready to take off. It is a fierce battle. The Federal defense line manages to get through Phase 1. Now they are moving forward to start Phase 2. Naxura starts to go up in full force. Theo and Anju feel afraid more than they thought. The commander is glad to see Theo feel frightened. Their biggest hope is to win against the Morpho. Naxura intends to release the Nordlicht squadron from the north. Anju and the others ask how they can land from its height. The commander assures them not to worry. She will arrange a system so that they can land safely. Shin tells the commander that they don't need to fight them if they can flank them. He tells her to withdraw into the forest after she reaches the destination. The commander understands. Naxura releases Nordlicht from the rear door, and they land safely using the air balloons. Nordlicht's squadron begins to advance into where Morpho is. They manage to break through Morpho's defense line. The soldier reports that Nordlicht has attacked the enemies and is advancing. The higher-ups watch on the monitor Undertaker advancing in the front row and fighting with a great number of enemies. Meanwhile, the others cannot just hope for Shin's hearing. They begin to overthrow the legions which continue to come in large numbers. Shin goes forward with the others and they spot Morpho, who has a huge shape and looks like a centipede. Shin informs he is going to attack. The Morpho moves and tells Shin he is going to kill him. The voice keeps echoing. The Morpho looks strong and huge. It emits light. Shin is silent as if he is unconscious. Suddenly, Frederica's voice is her asking Shin to wake up. She says it is not Korea anymore. Shin immediately tells the squad to retreat and he will explain later. The soldier reports to the headquarters that a great explosion occurs around them and destroys the area. The explosion probably comes from the Morpho. They begin to argue whether to use missiles. Some of them think of using missiles to destroy the Morpho, but it can cause their armies to die. The other side says Nordlicht's squadron has failed to take down the Morpho. The president stops the argument. As the first person in the Federation, he decides to endure and continues to fight. The soldier reports that Nordlicht manages to survive and fights back. Shin orders them to alter their target and position. He tells the squadron to prepare the bullets. Shin and the others begin to fire at Morpho. Morpho is the shadow of Korea. He is ordered to retreat. No-Face Raider is the name of the mech. Shin and the others keep firing at the mech. Shin is trapped between the iron tower so that his juggernaut cannot move. No-Face calls Pale Rider to retreat, but Pale Raider is unable to comply as he intends to kill Shin and the others. Shin cannot hear his squadron calling. He and Pale Rider are trapped on the battlefield. Frederica's voice is heard trying to bring Shin in. Just then, Pale Rider retreats, following No Face's order. Shin cannot take it and wants to pursue him. Shin hears his friends calling out his name. Shin and the 86 squad will advance to pursue Morpho, while the rest of Nordlicht's squadron will defend the area. Kiria notices the symbol on Shin's juggernaut is from the Nuzan clan. Kiria lives to fight. He recalls his memory with Princess Frederica. He holds grudges against Shin and will kill his friends and all things related to him. The Federation cannot give more troops to the enemy's territory. If Shin's squad wants to retreat, they will support them. Shin replies they won't withdraw because Morpho is advancing to the Legion's territory, which will be harder to destroy. The guard staff reports to the commander that 86 does not intend to retreat. They are always defeated by their bravery, but it will be more interesting if they win and return alive. He approaches the commander next to him. It seems like something happened between them. The guard staff doesn't want to see the commander cry over her members again. Meanwhile, while the squad is resting, they hear a noise inside Fido's body. They think it may be a cat. Shin tells Fido to open the door. It turns out Frederica is hiding inside. Theo scolds her why she had to follow them to the battlefield. Frederica replies she hates their thoughts like what they did when they were in 86. Even Ernst asks them to come back. They tell Frederica not to do this again. Anju invites them to eat together. Shin throws his gun at Frederica, saying if they are killed and she cannot contact the main army, he asks her to kill herself. Frederica replies she will keep it and give it back to him when he comes home. The headquarters hears the report that Morpho is stopped in the south of the occupied zone. The main army of the Federation as well as the Alliance will march forward to take over the area. The army of the Alliance will be using the anti-radar weapon to block the communication. They can use the technique once because legions can read the enemy's movement quickly. Shin and Raiden discuss the south and north troops who are putting up a fight. They conclude the main army is also moving. Shin and his friend will continue their pursuit. The main army of the Federation will start to march overnight. Raiden asks Shin to take her back because he is the only one who can get back without being noticed by the legions. Raiden thinks Shin is going insane and is carried away by Kiria. He doesn't lead like he did. Raiden notices something happened to him because they have known each other for long. He seems like the Reaper who is dragged by his enemy. Shin tells Raiden to take Frederica back. He says it is a one-way journey and he will do it alone. Raiden gets angry and pulls him, telling him to stop thinking of sacrificing his life to make others alive. Raiden opens Shin's mind by saying that he killed his brother to move forward. He tells him to stop thinking of dying alone. Raiden says he doesn't want to die and so do the others. They will lend their hands when he gets tired because they will be together. Their friends are hiding behind the wall, eavesdropping their conversation. Raiden had known Shin before they met them. Basically, Shin acts weird because he is often left by his friends, even his brother. Shin did that so that he could die first before being left by his friends. Meanwhile, there isn't any news from the Republic. They even had a reply to their message. San Magnolia seems to have fallen. They worry about the Major and cannot contact her. Karina suggests that Karina confess her feelings for Shin because he looks weak. He may need a girl with him. Karina wonders if she can do it. Frederica then comments that Shin may be aware of her feelings, but he sees her as his sister, not a woman. Karina is shocked to hear that and faints. Andrew tries to stop Frederica from talking more. Theo smiles, realizing Frederica's words. Shin stands in front of his juggernaut. Fido looks at him closely. Shin says he won't leave. In the camp, the chief's staff wakes the general. He informs them they get into contact with 86 through Pararaid. He cannot believe they can sleep in the enemy territory. The general wonders about their whereabouts. The federal armies have walked overnight, but they still cannot catch up with them. They want to take them before legions. The general seems to have something up to in his mind with the 86. Commander Wenzel orders the federal armies to march forward. They have prepared new juggernauts and ammunition to meet them. They hope 86 can win the battle. Meanwhile, Shin and his friend's juggernaut is damaged one by one. Their chance to hold on is approximately until tomorrow. They hope to meet the federal armies before they cannot move at all. Shin even cannot stay longer because his machine gets broken. Frederica looks at the garden in front of them and reminisces about the ocean. She asks if they have ever seen the ocean. Karina replies it must be fun. Theo adds that he wants to go to a tropical island. Anju says she also wants to see the ocean, and so does Raiden. Everyone looks at Shin, who is only silent. Kiria says if the war ends, they will go to the ocean together. The night falls, Theo, Karina, Anju, and Raiden sleep together. Shin looks at the sky with Fido. Frederica comes and sits next to him. She says she understands a bit why he isn't interested in mankind's survival and his own life. The beauty is there because no human lives there. She wonders if the legions also want the scenery. Shin replies legions don't want anything because they are ghosts, and so does him because he almost died that night. Since that night, he hasn't got any expectations. He doesn't want to see the ocean, and he doesn't have any place and anything to do. It doesn't bother him, and he starts to understand he cannot have any expectations. Fugarica reads Shin through her eyes. She sees Shin and looks happy as he had his freedom. Shin replies he thought it would end soon and they would die. He didn't expect they would live until today. The future is too long for someone like him. Shin is not her knight. He apologizes to her for using him as an excuse. Shin can go as far as he can, but his brother is no longer with him. Frederica comments that it is the same as herself who wants Korea to survive and be free from the legions. The Federation doesn't need a child like her. And in this country that has become a republic, she is a child who will cause war as long as she lives. Her purpose is to save her knight from the legions. Frederica wants Shin to get rid of his dark thoughts. His friends will always be there for him. Shin doesn't have the desire to live on. It is different from them because he is the Reaper. One day people will call him that name and will leave him. Shin and the others start to move on. Raiden asks Frederica to ignore the others and to connect with Shin. They begin to fight against the legions. Anju asks where the Morpho is. Shin replies 15 kilometers away from them in a straight way. Down there, the legions fire at them. Theo and the others walk faster. Anju falls and her Juggernaut is out of order. She cannot catch up with them. Karina tries to help, but Anju tries to fight the legions as far as she can. She asks Fredo to leave the ammunition for her. She intends to slow down the legions. They are followed by the legions from behind. Shin asks them to keep moving. Midway, Theo breaks the cliff, separating himself from the others. He will become bait for the legions. Korea watches their movements. He contacts the network to execute the bombardment. He begins to fire them. Frederica senses the danger and asks them to move away. She feels the upcoming attack will come from above. Korea is annoyed seeing them who get in his way. Whoever interferes with him will be destroyed. He fires a missile at Karina and it explodes. Raiden is worried about her. From above, another attack comes. Shin tells Raiden to come to wake up. He gets attacked after trying to protect Frederica. Shin tells Frederica to be with Fido because Raiden's Juggernaut is unable to move. Raiden gives Frederica to Fido. Shin tells them to hide, and if they die, he asks Fido to take Frederica back to the Federation. Frederica doesn't want to hide as she wants to fight with Shin. Shin comments that she is afraid of losing Korea. Shin gets ready to face off against Morpho by himself. Korea's scream is heard from afar. He can't wait to kill Shin. They begin to fight. Shin moves fast and turns into like the cold-hearted Pale Rider. He starts to enjoy the battle peacefully. Pale Rider is angry because Shin looks agile approaching Morpho. Shin tries to have Morpho cornered. Korea comments his fighting style is indeed the Nuzen's clan. If Shin joined him, the Empire should have existed. He wants such power to be on his side. Frederica sees their battle with her power. She remembers Eugene's words telling her what Shin did during the practice. Frederica tells Shin to avoid close combat with Korea because it is his power. Shin flies towards Morpho looking for his weak spot. Just then, Raiden comes to help. Raiden runs out of energy to fight. Shin tries to approach Morpho, but is not given a chance. Once he gets a chance, he fires at Morpho with a fire bullet, and it starts to be burned. Korea screams out loud, cannot accept it, and says he will kill Shin. Just then, Frederica's shadow appears and stops Korea. Korea says he feels alive because of the battle. It burns up his soul. Frederica fires a bullet and makes Korea realize her presence. Frederica asks him to stop fighting. However, Korea thinks she's being hostage and gets enraged. He fights Shin again and goes on a berserk. Frederica runs toward Korea and she points the gun at her head. She asks Korea to save her. Korea reminisces all their memories together. Frederica threatens that she will kill herself. Shin takes the chance while Korea is off guard. Shin asks Frederica where he is. Frederica reveals his position with a heavy heart. Shin, with his remaining energy, aims his position. At a glance, Frederica sees Korea scolding Shin and his brother comes to stop them. Shin's brother then invites Korea to go, leaving Shin alone. Frederica chases Korea, who is going to leave. Shin finds Korea inside Morpho and fires at him. Korea begins to vanish and Morpho begins the self-destruction operation. Before it explodes, Korea asks Shin to talk. He says they are the same. Shin wants to go with him while grabbing his hand, but Korea lets go of his hand so that he won't explode with him. Shin seems to remember the moment he almost died in his brother's hands. The vision becomes clear and terrifying. He sits on the bench and his deceased friends come to thank him. They tell Shin to live happily and freely. Shin looks annoyed because he is always left behind and always becomes the last one. Suddenly, Yujin comes to thank him. Raiden and the others also come. As Shin reaches out his hand, they suddenly leave. Shin wakes up and looks at the sky inside his juggernaut. From afar, a legion is approaching. Shin cannot move and asks the legion to kill him, but surprisingly, the legion explodes. Major Malaise comes and waves her hand at Shin. She sighs and walks away. Shin turns on the microphone from his juggernaut and talks to her. Lena asks him who he is. Shin says he is a member of the 177th Mechanized Corps of the Federal Republic of Jad. To maintain the defense line, they succeeded at sweeping on legions. Lena asks if he broke through the legion territory all by himself. He replies he came with his friends to do the mission. He then asks Lena if she wants to come with him. Lena refuses, saying she won't abandon her country and her friends. She will stay there and keep fighting till the end. Shin asks what for does she fight. Lena says she won't give up until her last breath because someone said that to her. They believed in her so that they must fight to catch up with them. She is the former commander of the defense troop of the Republic, Captain Vladilena Malaise. Shin is shocked to hear that. Lena says she won't run away from the battle. Shin realizes she is the major. He pretends not to recognize her. He asks her whether the people she meant died long ago. He asks what responsibility she has for dead people. Lena says that person once asked her not to be forgotten. That person asked her to survive. Thanks to his presence, she can live until now. Although they might have gone now, she wants to pay back their kindness. Lena shows their picture when they were in Camp 86. Lena wants to take them to the other side of the battlefield. Lena asks if he has the same reason because he managed to get there and fought to survive. Lena says he must be proud of that. Shin is weeping. He feels touched by her words. Shin intends to tell her who he is. He is about to open his juggernaut, but he changes his mind. It seems the enemy is approaching from afar. Reinforcement from the federal armies arrives, and so does Cyclops, who arrived to pick her up. Cyclops gives a report from Grand Mur that legions have arrived there. Cyclops wants to tell her the symbol on Shin's juggernaut, but is interrupted by Lena, who thinks she is talking about the symbol of the Federation. The general congratulates Shin, and so does the commander. Wenzel asks about his condition. Shin feels relieved to see her safe. Shin asks the other members of the squad, and it turns out they survive. They tell Shin through their implant. Shin is relieved that his friends are safe from the incident. He says no one dies first to leave him behind. Ernst also congratulates him with his hilarious act. After the mission is over, they have a new mission to help the Republic of San Magnolia. Besides, it's just inhuman if they don't welcome them because they managed to survive. However, they can just refuse the mission if they don't want to. In that case, the president will replace them with the main federal army. Shin looks at Lena with the new 86 members. Shin says they will accept the operation not only to rescue the Republic of San Magnolia, but he will save the person he doesn't want to find dead. Moreover, Shin asks about his intention of meeting him with the people of the Republic. The president explains he will take them to Grand Mur. As for now, they're told to rest. Frederica will be sent back to the Federal. Frederica teases Shin when he talked to his former commander. She feels Shin and the woman have a deep relationship. Shin says he cannot tell her his name yet because she said she would catch up. Frederica warns he is a man after all. For something like this, he likes to pretend to be hard. Seems like Shin has found the answer to his question all this time. After talking to Lena, the light of life in his heart begins to appear, and now he has found his purpose. When Shin enters the room to submit the report, the commander turns on the recording of his conversation with the major. They begin to tease him. They know Lena didn't notice Shin and didn't know that they are still alive. At home, Ernst prepares a welcoming party for Shin and the others. He gives them gifts. After receiving their gifts, they enter their room casually. Frederica is punished for sneaking into the battlefield. Shin and the others open their gifts. The next day, Anju begins to go to the cooking course. Karina goes to the store and buys clothes she likes. At home, Shin learns to cook with Frederica to make breakfast. Raiden is fixing the stuff in the storehouse. Anju gives her some food. Theo goes to draw in the living room. Time flies quickly. Theo and Raiden read the report about their mission. It seems the mission is to defeat the legions. Ernst explains they will go fight on the front line. The point is they will meet the officer. He asks if they don't mind. They all agree. They fly to the Republic of San Magnolia. Ernst receives a report from the general. Their guard staff informs about the area rescued from the operation. They explain Legion only lost a few combat units, and their production base is still intact. It is predicted that future battlefields will get worse, meaning that if this continues, humanity will be wiped out. They plan on forming a force consisting of 86. The president is not opposed because it is their wish. Shin buys flowers and visits Eugene's grave. He comes to convey his regard and tell him about the battle. Shin spots a letter written by his sister on his tomb. Shin says he will show the beauty of the ocean to his sister. He will visit him often and tell them everything he has not seen yet. Marcel comes to visit Eugene as well. Marcel regrets his actions towards Shin. He He involved a kid in their problem. He apologizes to him for that. Shin also apologizes to Marcel and Mina. He gives the envelope to Nina. It contains the picture of Eugene and Shin. Nina thanks him. Theo is going to draw a mark on their juggernaut. He asks Shin if he wants to change his mark. Shin doesn't want to change it because he has been using it for 6 years. Shin has seen off his friends, the soldiers of the 86 well as his brother. Although it is hard, Shin has hope to live on because he has friends who won't leave him, and they are happy with his presence who is always there. Shin says he will always remember those who fought with him because he is the Reaper. The Republic of San Magnolia suffers great damage from the Legion attack. Lena is in her room and picks up 86 stuff she keeps. Lena walks to her office. She says to herself thanks to 86, she managed to come home alive. Lena visits her father's grave and tells him about the Legion invasion. Many soldiers died on the battlefield and the Republic was destroyed in 1 week. Reinforcement came from other countries, especially the Federal of Jad. They have found out about the suppression of 86 by the Republic. Everyone mourns them. The new 86 are offered to join the Federal Army if they want. The cruelty of the Republic has ended. Those who have sinned have unknowingly been punished. Lena remembers what her uncle said to her. Lena arrives at the general's office. Her superior asks Lena to become the representative of the Republic of San Magnolia to go to the Federal Republic of Jayad and become the commander in the district. The general looks happy to find she is willing to take the operation. The Black Cat is angry at the general. Lena undergoes a medical checkup before leaving. Nate is not surprised anymore by her decision. She has run out of words seeing her bravery. Lena is surprised with her words that the Federacy's raid is similar to the one she designed. Nate is suspicious of the former 86 who told them about it. Lena is surprised and looks at their picture. Lena wonders how can she have their raid. Nate explains she asked them for an inspection. Nate will also chase her dream as Lena does. They hug like kids. The next day, Lena has a meeting with the Federacy representative. He gives her their exclusive report. Moreover, he says he will be waiting for her arrival in his country. Lena walks while remembering her uncle's words. She asks for time to show her determination. Lena arrives in the Federacy and is welcomed by the president. He invites her to see the 86 monument. Lena holds the glass jar in her hands containing the drawings of the 86 squadron. Lena touches the monument with tender emotion and places the jar in the place where their names are. Meanwhile, the 86 squadron makes a video to welcome Lena. Raiden goes first, saying he has seen Major and wonders how her expression is when she meets them. Anju goes next, saying she heard Major comes with a cat. She hopes it is Kitty. Theo then shows his drawing to the camera. He draws Major as a bear and her picture with Shin. Karina is angry to see that. She says that Shin only treats her as his sister. The president also says that it is a meeting between a man and a woman. The generals look stiff but cute. Frederica is grabbed by Frida because she wants to see Major. Shin asks if she recognizes them. Lena meets the representative of the Federacy. He wants to introduce her to the members under her command. Lena and Shin exchange salutes. Lena introduces herself to them. She mentions she is the colonel from the army of the Republic of San Magnolia, Vladilena Malais. Everyone tries to hold their laughter. Shin says they have known each other before and calls her Handler One. Shin explains he is the lieutenant of the Federacy of Jad, the former Spearhead Squadron. Lena is weeping. She feels thankful that Shin and the others are alive. The Black Cat runs outside, feeling happy. Shin protects Lena from Fido, who suddenly jumps into the air. Lena looks at Raiden, Anju, Theo, Karina, and the last, Frederica, who will take their picture for commemoration. Lena says she has been chasing them for long, and now she arrives at their place, and from now on, she will fight together. From behind, it is seen the shadow of Shin and Lena are holding hands. This is the end of 86 Season 1 to Season 2. Thank you so much for staying in this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest contents. See you in the next video.